Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys the Series anime video. In this video I want to talk about Ash vs Leon. More specifically, I want to talk about whether or not Ash will defeat Leon. Will Ash emerge victorious in the final round of the Masters Tournament? Will Ash become the monarch of the Pokemon World Coronation Series? Will he become the strongest trainer in the world? Now this question, or questions I guess, have been lingering in my mind for a long time. In fact, I am pretty sure I have been thinking about this for months, but I never gave the subject some serious thought. It was just something I thought about passively. However, since this climactic battle will soon be upon us, I started to really analyze this conundrum in order to figure out the answer to it. Of course, I am not the only one that has thought about this. Over the past year, I have seen a bunch of videos, comments, posts, pictures, tweets, you name it, where people have voiced their opinions on the matter, and there is clearly a split in the community when it comes to this subject. Not an even split, mind you, but a split nonetheless. Many people think that Ash will win, while many other people, the majority I think, believe that Ash will lose. Now both sides have valid arguments for the most part, so there really isn't a consensus on what will happen. Personally, I have always been on the Ash will win side, though not 100%, since there is one key fact that makes me think that it's also possible that Ash will lose. But more on this later. However, I never thought about making a video on the subject, simply because I did not think that there was that much to talk about and there really is no concrete evidence that can point to a clear answer. But I recently had a discussion with some friends and acquaintances of mine regarding the subject, and they all said that Ash will lose. They said that there is no way that Ash will defeat Leon, that defeating Cynthia is plenty and Ash cannot aspire to more, that Trash Ketchum will lose for sure, because he always loses at the end, and so many other negative and untrue things that we do not have time for here. Naturally, this was not a pleasant discussion, but it did inspire me to make this video, because I feel that while it is possible that Ash will lose, it's not because he is bad or because he does not deserve to win, or because he always loses at the end. Which, by the way, is no longer the case because the Sun and Moon series happened. Basically, I think that if Ash loses, it's not really his fault, and I feel that saying otherwise is not fair, which is why I decided to make this video, so that I can objectively and rationally tackle the subject by analyzing both outcomes to determine why each outcome is possible, why each outcome is not possible, and the impact of each outcome. I also wanted to voice my thoughts and opinions on the matter. It is my hope that this video will offer a comprehensive and fair assessment of the subject that will have a positive influence on the discussion. Now, originally, this video was only going to be about the result of Ash vs Leon, but after giving it some thought, I realized that there is another controversial subject that has been the source of a lot of discussion for quite some time now, and this controversial subject is deeply linked to the outcome of Ash vs Leon, which is why I decided to tackle said controversial subject in this video as well. This controversial subject is, will the Pokemon anime say goodbye to Ash? Is Pokemon Journeys Ash's last series? So, without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Now, before we get to the heart of this video, there is one thing we have to address first. Will Ash defeat Cynthia? In order to even have a shot at defeating Leon, Ash does have to get to Leon first. And Cynthia stands between Ash and Leon. So it might be a bit presumptuous to assume that Ash will battle Leon when Ash has to defeat Cynthia first. But I am sure that Ash will overcome Cynthia, because the whole point of Ash's journey in this series, his dream, his goal is to battle Leon. So it would be pretty underwhelming and awful if Ash does not even get to face Leon after spending an entire series working towards this one thing. Which is why I am sure that Ash will win his battle against Cynthia. And he will go on to face Leon. Regardless of the outcome of the battle, Ash versus Leon is happening. So with that out of the way, we can finally get to the crux of the video. Will Ash win or lose against Leon? Well, like I said earlier, there really is no clear answer to this question, and there is no concrete or definite evidence that can point to the answer. Though supposedly there was a leak that suggested that Ash would lose, but since I have not seen this leak myself, I will refrain from commenting on it. While we cannot decidedly say that Ash will win or that he will lose, we can determine what makes each outcome possible, what makes each outcome not possible, and the impact that each outcome will have on the anime as a whole. This will help us determine the likelihood of each outcome. So, why is it possible that Ash will win, and conversely, why is it possible that he will not lose? Well, his goal in Pokemon Journeys is to face Leon. Everything Ash has done in Pokemon Journeys, everything he has accomplished, all the training he has done, everything he has obtained, it has all led Ash to his dream battle with Leon. So the best way to end Ash's long and arduous odyssey in this series is to have him defeat Leon, especially since it would be pretty unsatisfying if Ash ends up losing after everything he has been through, after all the battles he has had to endure, and after all the tough opponents he has had to overcome. Why make him go through so much only to have him lose? This would just be insulting. Now, for the most part, Ash's dream in this series has been to battle Leon, and not to defeat Leon. So you could say that just reaching and battling Leon would be enough for Ash. However, after being taunted by Raihan, Ash did declare that he not only wants to face Leon, but he also wants to defeat Leon. Therefore, the best and most fitting conclusion to Pokemon Journeys would be to have Ash defeat Leon, which would allow him to fulfill his dream. Of course, in most of the previous series, Ash would always make his way through a league conference, only to lose by the end. Therefore, he never achieved his goal. So why should this time be any different? Well, his goal was never to win a league conference. His goal was always to be a Pokemon Master. Gathering 8 badges and participating in the league conference of the given region was only a means to an end. It was Ash's way to work towards his true dream. Therefore, him losing at the end never meant that he failed to make his dream a reality. Instead, it meant that he just had more to learn, that there was still room for him to grow and for him to become stronger, that becoming a Pokemon Master was still far out of his reach. Hence why he would always try his best in the next region. But Pokemon Journeys is different, because Ash has a very clear objective. It's not just about becoming a Pokemon Master, which is a vague dream. Instead, there is someone specific that he wants to defeat. And because his goal is now more specific than ever, having him fail to achieve said goal, having him lose at the end, will be more devastating, more impactful, more discouraging, and more disappointing than ever before. Hence why having Ash defeat Leon is the best outcome in my eyes. Another thing that supports that Ash will win is that he is now stronger than ever before. Sure, he is not using his best overall Pokemon, but his Pokemon Journeys team is pretty solid all around. Ash also has Mega Evolution, an exclusive C-move, and Dynamax/Gigantamax on his side. He has also been pretty much unstoppable thus far. Excluding his first 2 matches against B, the only thing Ash has done in Pokemon Journeys is win. And he has defeated champions, a former champion, an Elite Four member, gym leaders, and several other powerful trainers. So Ash has reached a level of power that far and away eclipses the level of strength he had in previous series. And he is no longer the Ash from the past. He is no longer the Ash that was not allowed to defeat champions or Elite Four members. he is no longer the Ash that could not keep or catch Pokemon that were too powerful. He is no longer the Ash that cannot be overpowered. He is no longer the Ash that cannot win at the end. He is no longer the Ash that cannot become a champion. He is no longer the Ash that cannot be one of the strongest trainers in the world and in the anime. So why would he lose at the end this time as well? Sure, just like Ash is now on a whole other level, his opponent is as well. But still, if there was ever a time that Ash has everything he needs to emerge victorious at the end, said the time is now. Another thing that supports that Ash will win is that Leon is currently undefeated. And while he can certainly remain undefeated, since many other characters remained undefeated for a very long time, I think that this series can only really have a satisfying conclusion if Leon is defeated. Now, it's not that I have anything against Leon, it's not that I want him to lose or anything like this. It's just that he is basically the final boss, and you always want the final boss to be defeated. And he is not just any final boss. He is the kind of final boss that appears early on to crush you, leaving you with a desire to fight your way through the entire game, so that you can not only get to face the final boss again, but also so that you can be strong enough to defeat them, which would allow you to get your revenge and to feel accomplished. Leon evokes this very same situation. It's not that you wanted to defeat them or see them be defeated because you hate them, but because their defeat is the only way to really conclude the story. Their defeat is the only way to validate the journey you undertook to reach them and to be strong enough to overcome them. Their defeat is the only way to give meaning and purpose to your struggles. Their defeat is the only thing that can give you closure. So Leon just has to be defeated in order for Pokemon Journeys to have a meaningful, climactic, and fitting conclusion. His defeat is the best and the most conclusive way to validate everything that Ash has been through in this series. Besides, in the games, Leon does end up losing to the player. His undefeated legend does come to an end. So why should he remain undefeated in the anime? Now sure, all the champions end up losing to the player, and yet, in the anime, most of them were undefeated for a very long time. Or at least, they were never defeated on screen for a very long time. So why should Leon be any different? Well, in the anime, the other champions were not lauded as undefeated legends. At least not as much or as obviously as Leon. Nor did they have a bunch of trainers gunning for them. Nor was facing and defeating them the whole point of an entire series. Plus, in the games, their defeat was not as meaningful as Leon's defeat. It's only after being defeated that Leon is finally able to realize a long-time dream of his. And it is only after being defeated that Leon is able to start looking into the future with the hopes of improving the Galar region. It is also said that he appears to be more lively after losing. Likely because he can battle to his heart's content without having to worry about his title or his winning streak. He is finally free from all restraints. I also think that it's likely that he is happy to know that there is someone stronger, which motivates him to get even stronger. This is certainly true in the anime as explained by Leon himself in episode 100, but I think that this goes for the games as well. So losing has a huge impact on Leon's development as a character. Therefore, it is only fitting that he loses in the anime as well, so that he can also grow as a character in the anime. So that's everything that favors Ash winning. So now let's take a look at what goes against Ash winning and, conversely, what is in favor of him losing. There really is only one thing that goes against Ash winning / is in favor of Ash losing. If he wins, then he becomes the strongest trainer in the world, which means that there will no longer be anything for Ash to shoot for. He will have reached the highest of peaks, and thus he will not have anything to strive for. there won't be anything to propel him forward, and so there won't be anything to motivate him to continue traveling. It's for this reason that many people believe that this is Ash's last series, and why I said that this subject is deeply connected to the outcome of Ash vs. Leon. If Ash defeats Leon and becomes the world champion, then there is nothing more for Ash to accomplish, and if there is nothing more for him to accomplish, then there is nothing for him to do in the next series. Nothing for him to aspire to. Nothing for him to work towards. No reason for him to travel. No reason for him to be in the next series. However, Ash and Pikachu are the face of the Pokemon anime, so getting rid of them completely is unthinkable, though they were absent from a couple of episodes of Pokemon Journeys, thus setting a precedent that they don't have to be in every episode. Still, it would be very daring and dangerous to get rid of Ash and Pikachu. It's something that could prove to be the undoing of the anime. Because of this, many people think that Ash will lose against Leon, because if Ash loses, he does not become the world champion, and if he does not become the world champion, then he does not reach the highest of peaks. And if he does not reach the highest of peaks, then he will still have something above him. Something that he can shoot and aim for. A mountain to climb. A summit to reach. Therefore, there will still be something to push him into and throughout the next series. So basically, if Ash wins, this is his last series. If he loses, he can stay in the anime. Now, while I do think that there is some truth to this, which is why I said that I am not on the Ash will win side 100%, I do believe that even if Ash wins, there are still several ways to allow him to remain in the anime. Ash can continue to travel just for the fun of it. Going out on a journey is not just about getting from point A to point B. It's not just about reaching your goal or destination. A journey also allows you to meet new people, to see new places, to experience different cultures, and, in the case of the world of Pokemon, to encounter new Pokemon. So it's perfectly okay and understandable if Ash decides to keep traveling without having a serious and clear objective. Besides, if he becomes the world champion, then they can have him defend his title like Leon has done several times in Pokemon Journeys. This would also ensure that Ash defeating Leon has purpose beyond just having Ash fulfill his current dream. Ash becoming the world champion would factor into and contribute to the next series. They could also have Ash fall from grace by having him lose a title defense match. This loss would inspire Ash to retrain himself so that he can get his title back. Many games do this. One game, the main character ends up overpowered, and at the start of the next game, they lose their powers, or their powers are stolen, or something like this, and they go back to square one, thus giving the player a reason to grind all over again. Now sure, it might be awful to have him lose his title of world champion after working so hard to get it, but if they handle it well, it could work. It might also be unoriginal to have Ash climb his way back to world champion. But with so many characters that Ash did not face in Pokemon Journeys, and with so many Pokemon he did not use in Pokemon Journeys, both old and the new ones that he can get in the future, they can definitely make Ash's second rise through the World Carnation series a fresh experience. Now of course, this means that the next series has to be like Pokemon Journeys, meaning that it cannot be set entirely in one region. But I could see this happening. I even made a video several months ago saying that Pokemon Journeys could continue indefinitely, since they just have to incorporate the new region, Pokemon, and characters that are introduced in future generations. Heck, the new series can still be set mostly in one region, namely Paldea, and periodically Ash travels to another region to have a battle, and then he returns to Paldea to continue his journey from where he left off. I could see this happening as well. So basically, Ash defeating Leon does not mean that Ash has to leave the anime, and conversely, Ash does not need to lose to Leon in order to remain in the anime. Now of course, this is what I think. It is not what the writers think. Considering that Ash would almost always lose at the end, it's clear that they think that Ash can only remain the protagonist if he loses at the end of a series, which makes him realize that he is still far from being a Pokemon Master. This gives him a reason to keep traveling and to keep training. Now I always thought that this was a flawed idea, because winning a Pokemon League does not mean you are suddenly the best like no one ever was. I always believed that Ash winning a Pokemon League would not detract anything from the anime. If anything, the anime would be enhanced by having Ash's journey through a region conclude in a meaningful way, with Ash showing that everything he went through was not for naught. The series in question could have ended with Ash reaching a lofty peak, and with him deciding to aim even higher, or with him deciding to strive for the same heights but in a different region with different Pokemon. Ash winning at the end was never the end of the road, even if the writers believed so. Of course, it's clear that they ended up realizing this, because in the Sun and Moon series, Ash was finally able to win at the end. And what happened afterwards? Pokemon Journeys happened, where Ash continued his journey, and this time, his sights were set on something bigger. Because after all, the only way up after becoming a regional champion is to become a world champion. In fact, if Ash loses against Leon, then what's next? Ash is already a regional champion, so really the only thing he can strive for is to become the world champion. Therefore, as far as what Ash will do next, having him lose against Leon is the same as having him win against Leon. In both situations, Ash is left without a goal. He ends up without a peak to climb up to, unless they have him go back to his dream of being a Pokemon Master, which again is a vague goal, because what exactly makes you a Pokemon Master is subject to interpretation. They could also have him shoot for Leon and the title of World Champion once again. Which would be fine, yes, but why not just have him win instead? And then you can find a creative and clear dream/objective that propels him forward so that he can continue traveling, which means that he can still be the protagonist. So I think that the odds are stacked in favor of Ash winning. Really, the only thing that favors him losing is that he cannot be the protagonist anymore if he becomes the strongest trainer in the world. But like I explained earlier, even this reason can be bent in favor of Ash winning. The only other reason that people bring up in order to support that Ash will lose is that he always loses at the end. But of course, this reason is invalidated by the Sun and the Moon series. The people that bring up this reason clearly have not watched the Sun and the Moon series, or they forgot about it. Since the odds are stacked in favor of Ash winning, I have no choice but to strongly believe that Ash will win. He will defeat Leon and he will become the world champion. As for whether or not this is Ash's last series, I think that this is not his last series. If Ash loses to Leon, then it is very likely that Ash will remain in the anime, and if he wins against Leon, then I think that Ash can still remain in the anime, provided that they find a compelling reason for him to keep traveling. And even if they choose to have Ash make a triumphant exit, I am willing to bet that he will just be put aside for a while, and he will return to the anime at some point, even if it is just for a minor role. I doubt that Ash would be gone forever. But that's everything I have for you in this video. My final conclusions are that Ash will defeat Leon and that Ash will stay in the anime. These also happen to be the two outcomes I prefer. Of course, we won't know what happens for sure until Ash and Leon have their climactic battle. So at this point, all I can do is make predictions based on the information I have and hope for the best. Hopefully, the final battle of the Masters Tournament will be one to remember. Hopefully, it will have an awesome conclusion. Hopefully, I am not disappointed by the battle or by its conclusion. Do let me know in the comments down below what you think will happen and what you hope will happen. But that's the video, as always. Leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.